Where is the child receptacle? Is there a bin I can put the kid in? I don't want the kid. I didn't sign up for this. This is Mass Effect Legendary Edition, developed by BioWare and published by Electronic Arts. Mass Effect Legendary Edition is a collection of the original Mass Effect trilogy with all DLC remastered for modern platforms. If you are not familiar with the Mass Effect trilogy, it is a shooter RPG set in the 22nd century where humanity has discovered interstellar travel and that they are not alone in the galaxy. You play Commander Shepard, who comes into contact with an ancient relic from a long extinct civilization. The relic prophesizes the return of a great malevolence known as the Reapers, who are intent on wiping out all life in the galaxy. The trilogy then sees Commander Shepard try to get the galaxy ready for the imminent invasion, collecting party members, warping about the galaxy, and engaging in many action-packed shenanigans. The Legendary Edition is a great way to replay the trilogy or play it for the first time. Each game has received graphical updates, higher resolution textures and models, and each runs at a higher frame rate than on its original release. While Mass Effect 2 and 3 are still largely the same, Mass Effect 1 has received even more updates to bring it more in line with later sequels. However, the original Mass Effect is really showing its age and might be difficult for new players to jump into. Overall, Mass Effect Legendary Edition was a great nostalgia hit for me and should serve as a good point for new players to experience the series for the first time. Mass Effect Legendary Edition is available on PC, PS4 and Xbox One. This is Call of the Sea, developed by Out of the Blue and published by Raw Fury. Call of the Sea is a first-person puzzle game set in the 1930s. You play Nora, a sickly woman who has journeyed to a remote island in the South Pacific in search of her husband, Harry. As you follow the trail of Harry's expedition, you will encounter puzzles and eldritch weirdness. The puzzles start off simple enough, with the early chapters catching you up to speed and setting the scene. Later chapters, however, introduce some difficult and obtuse puzzles that left me stumped for a long time. Call of the Sea deals with eldritch lore and a failed expedition, but is more an interactive narrative than a horror title. The game progresses at your pace. This is good, as some of the puzzles can take a while to decipher. The environments are colourful and lush, and Cece Jones does excellent work as Nora. You might recognise her as Delilah from Firewatch. I enjoyed my time with Call of the Sea, and I appreciated a different approach taken to eldritch lore, even if I felt pretty stupid in the last few chapters. For a longer look at Call of the Sea, check out Foley Plays Call of the Sea for a Bit, also on the channel. Call of the Sea is available on PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series, PS4 and PS5. Okay, look at this fish guy, he's just blah. This is Cozy Grove, developed by Spry Fox and published by the Quantum Astrophysicists Guild. Cozy Grove is an isometric hidden object and management game. You play an unnamed spirit scout marooned on the ruined island of Cozy Grove, and you are tasked with helping to settle the wandering spirits of the land, who are also bears for some reason. Just go with it. To do this, you set up your camp and coax the spirits out of hiding and make contact. You are then tasked with aiding the spirits in discovering their former lives and dealing with the trauma preventing them from passing on. This typically involves locating hidden items on the island with some clues to help narrow down their location. This is simple enough in the early game, but as the island becomes larger and more spirits arrive, locating items can become more difficult and, unfortunately, more tedious. Helping the spirit bears will reward you with spirit logs, used to enhance and upgrade your campfire and bring in more bear spirits. The game runs in real time, similar to Animal Crossing, and the game does restrict how much progress you can make in a single day. This restriction actually helps with the tedium of item hunting, as you are only performing this in short bursts. Additional to object hunting, you can engage in fishing, decorating, cooking, and crafting. The island has a number of resources to collect for use in these activities: digging for vegetables, harvesting fruit, rearing spirit animals, mining for ore, and so on. The individual spirit bears of Cozy Grove are the highlight of the game. Slowly progressing through their stories and learning their quirks and flaws are a lot of fun. That said, this game requires a considerable commitment to be playing regularly, as character and story progression are gated by real-time calendar days. For more on Cozy Grove, check out Foley Plays Cozy Grove for a bit, also on the channel. Cozy Grove is available on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. This is Resident Evil Village, developed and published by Capcom. Resident Evil Village is a first-person action survival horror title and is the 8th entry in the main series. Ethan Winters returns following the events of the previous entry, Biohazard. A few years later, Ethan and Mia are married and have a newborn child. However, Chris Redfield, the hero of previous entries in the series, assassinates Mia and kidnaps Ethan and the baby. Ethan wakes up in the wilderness and stumbles his way to an unknown, nondescript European village that appears to be plagued by werewolves and vampires. Just go with it. You are then tasked with scouring the village and nearby castle for Ethan's daughter. Along the way, you will encounter many not werewolves, an ever-growing arsenal to deal with them, a few contrived puzzles and locked doors, and one very tall not vampire lady. Think you are supposed to run away from her, but I found myself hanging around to listen to her dialogue and then get eviscerated for unrelated reasons. Anyway, Resident Evil Village is broadly broken into 4 segments, with each village lord taking center stage for their segment. Each segment then has its own style: Lady D stalking you around a gothic castle, or an escape room type dollhouse, and others I will leave for you to discover. The player can return to the eponymous village between segments and see how the area has changed or deteriorated in the meantime. You can also use some of your recently gained tools to investigate previously inaccessible areas in search of goodies. The game is genuinely scary, but like the previous entry, this sense of fear tends to dissipate the better equipped Ethan becomes and the further you progress. I enjoyed playing through Village. The large map, varied environments, and fun characters are a great improvement over Biohazard, and I am eager to play through again, and not just for one tall, not vampire lady. Resident Evil Village also has a Mercenaries mode, a more arcade action-focused game that was missing in the previous entry. I've only played a small amount of this mode, but it is a fun side game if you're looking to jump into some resi combat for a few minutes. For a longer look at Resident Evil Village, check out Foley Plays Resident Evil Village for a bit, and Foley Plays Maiden for a bit. Resident Evil Village is available on PC, PS4 and 5, and Xbox One and Series. It's okay, I won't have to do anything because I don't have a gun. Oh, you dick! Those were some of the games from May 2021. Really enjoyed Resident Evil Village. Definitely eager to play that through again and find some of the stuff I missed on my first round through and maybe try out some new tactics and all that stuff. Mass Effect Legendary Edition, I had only intended on getting some footage for some of them and coming back to the games later, and then ended up just playing all 3 games through in one go. Definitely a great collection if you haven't played before, or even if you have. All of the Sea is a great puzzle game. I really liked the kind of Eldritch stuff, and I really appreciated that it came from a different viewpoint. Not that it was all horror and doom and gloom, that maybe it's a good thing. And Cozy Grove I'm still playing. It is mostly like a lunch break kind of game. I go in and I do a couple of quests for the Spirit Bears and handle all their stuff and then go back to work, pretty much. Next video up, we'll be looking at games for June. So first up, we'll be looking at Shikari, A Colorful Tale, which is a kind of Zelda-like top-down adventure game where you can actually color in things. You have free control over a paintbrush that lets you color in objects, and a lot of the game mechanics revolve around that. We'll also be looking at a game called Overboard by Inkle, who previously made a game called Heaven's Vault, which I really enjoyed. Overboard is a game where you play a woman who has murdered her husband on a cruise ship and is now basically trying to get away with it. Also, we'll be looking at Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I'm not necessarily expecting to be blown away by it. It's more like a showcase for the PS5 kind of thing, so I just want to see, what exactly the console is capable of. So things like Demon's Souls and Returnal would have been the same deal. I imagine it'll still be a good game. And then Scarlet Nexus, I have been playing a lot of recently. It is a fantastic anime brawler game with psychokinesis and clones and time traveling and lots of other kind of crazy sci-fi shit going on. Elsewhere on the channel, we'll be continuing the Alan Wake playthrough. It's a blind playthrough for me. I've never played the game before, so I won't know what's coming around the corner. I won't be able to predict it like I have more or less been able to do for all my other LPs. You can also check out some weekly news roundups that I do for industry news, new games coming out, crazy bullshit happening in the industry, that kind of thing. There's a new video out for that every Monday. I also would have mentioned a couple of games there. Foley plays Resident Evil Village for a bit, or Foley plays Cozy Grove for a bit, and so on. Those are one-shot videos that come out most Wednesdays, where I just play the opening hour and a half or 2 hours of a video game. So if you liked what you saw, there's plenty more else on the channel, and let me know what you thought of this video, and hopefully I'll see you next time.